YouTube. I'm Anna. I am the face of Frugal Mom of Many, and thank you all so much for watching so many of my phonics videos that I have done. Not really intending to just have a phonics channel, but that's what worked out. I made those videos for my children to practice their flashcards and help them with their phonics. We were really struggling with that in our homeschooling, and I know it may seem crazy because all of those were Abeka videos, and I am going to review now a totally different curriculum, Logic of English. And the reason that I'm doing that, let me give you a little background on me. I am a mom of 8, and I have a first grader, a 3rd grader, 5th grader, 6th grader, but then I also have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1.5-year-old, and a 2-month-old. that are not doing school with us. So we have a lot going on in our house. And even when we didn't, we had some struggles with Abeka. I'm going to tell you what I feel like are the cons on that. And please don't feel that I'm bashing them because I was homeschooled myself. And my mom used Abeka with me, and I loved it. And I learned to read great with it. Great speller, no problems. And I taught one of my sons with it, and it was just a breeze. He just went through it. He learned to read no problem. But I have had now 3 children that I have struggled so much in teaching them to read. It has been a really hard thing for us. And some of that I think is, they've never been tested, but I think they're dyslexic. And so I've done a lot of learning about that and then how to deal with that. But they're also more of the ADD type. We aren't being homeschooled. We don't need to be on any kind of drugs. I don't really want to do that if I don't have to. So I have just searched for curriculums that work for us without having to give them Ritalin or something like that. But even in speaking with their doctor, that's what he feels we're dealing with. So that's kind of our background. But I found that Abeka took so much of my time. And even though I had homeschool lesson plans, they were not made for homeschooling, in my opinion. Every day you had to write out things on the whiteboard, chalkboard. And so all this stuff, it wasn't right there in front of you. Open it up, you're ready to go. It was do flashcard number such and such, and it's just really, it was not, it just was not well laid out. I felt like for me to be able to go through it, I have very limited time with that many children. And so I need my day to flow really well. So I didn't like that, but because I had always done it and felt like it was a good program, I kept doing it anyway. But when my kids couldn't read with it, they weren't really learning, that's when I said, okay, I've got to do something different. We are going crazy. I'm getting mad at them. They're getting mad at me. And that's not the way homeschooling is supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun and enjoyable. So, also I felt like Abeka was not logical. They didn't teach all the sounds that a letter or a phonogram could make at one time. So they'll start out with with the short sounds of a vowel. So they would teach that A says ah. And it wasn't until much later that they taught, well, A also says A. And oh, well, yeah, A can say ah too. And so that was like, you're not, when they would try to read something and it was not that sound that they had been taught, they weren't putting it all together because they had not learned it together for that letter. And I felt like that was a little bit of a stumbling block. And, definitely something that you can get past, obviously. I read and I did it with Abeka. But something that was a struggle that would not have been necessary if all of those letter sounds had been taught at one time. So that's one thing that I didn't like about it. Also, I felt like they were always pushing us through without so much practice. And, there's also things that I really liked about them. So I'm not trying to bash any curriculum because there are different learning styles and there's different things that work for different kids. And I know when I was a child, thinking back on my experience, I liked something that was just workbook style, just boom, boom, boom. I could get through with it. I was done with my day. And I liked that. Still like that. I'm a list person, and those kind of things just make me happy. But my children are not. They would rather take their time and have fun. But the neat thing about Logic of English is it is fun, but it doesn't take a lot of time. So it meets both of our needs. My needs to get things done so I can move on to helping the next child, and their need to have fun and learn in a fun way. So some of the things that I have noticed in Logic of English is that my son, who has absolutely terrible handwriting, and we taught manuscript with Abeka. So no fault of Abeka on this because I chose to do manuscript, but he has terrible handwriting. And in speaking with them at Logic of English, they were so extremely helpful in helping me to know which course I should choose and explaining to me why they really recommended that I do cursive, even though they also sell manuscript. But because I think we're dealing with dyslexia, cursive cannot be mixed up as easily as manuscript letters can because all of their cursive starts on the baseline. And yeah, I'll show you a little more. I'm going to try to do another video and show you the curriculum in better detail so that you can see it. But it all starts on the baseline, and that makes it so much easier. It's not, he can't turn around his B's and his D's anymore because they look totally different in cursive. And so we've had very little struggle with any kind of dyslexia. But at the same time in their work, they're always showing them in the workbook what the manuscript looks like. So they're not getting, I don't find it hard at all to go back and forth between their writing in cursive, but they're reading in manuscript. It's crazy how well it has worked out. I never imagined it would be that good. So I am very pleased with doing that. Also, they're big on if they don't have their fine motor skills, write on a whiteboard. And they have a really nice whiteboard that comes in the set with the foundations. We have been doing foundations A and B, and we've only got 10 lessons left, just so you know how far along I am, because that makes the difference when you're listening to a review and going, hey, you've only done 10 lessons. How do you really know if you like it or not? We are almost finished with both foundations A and B, and I can tell you that I still love it. So it's fun. They work out games along with it throughout the curriculum. Again, when I do my other video showing it in more detail, I'll show you some of the game pieces and maybe in the book how some of that works out. But my son, who actually learned to read easy with Abeka, the only person that learned to read easy with Abeka in my family, he came in one day when we were doing phonics and said, oh, I wish my phonics had been this fun. Can I do it with you? And he reads like exceptional. So that's a really good thing to hear that coming from someone who enjoyed his phonics but sees this as so much better. But I chose to do my two struggling readers together. So I've been doing the third grader and the first grader together this year in Logic of English. And the foundations A and B is kind of a lower level than what you should have a third grader on. But because he was struggling, we decided to start him back from the very beginning. And I'm glad we did that. We are probably going to keep doing phonics next year. It may seem strange. He's going to be in fourth grade, but I want to make sure he has a good foundation before we stop doing this. So that's what we've been doing. And for me, I got all of the workbooks in a set and got the books. I quickly realized if I'm going to try to do this with two kids, I either need to buy another workbook or not write in the book because they can't obviously both write in the book. So what I did, I put them in sheet protectors and I would have the kids point to the answers. We did it together like that. And then I would have them write over on another piece of paper any handwriting or write. We've mostly just written on the whiteboard because I found that it really helped with their motor skills. So that's the way we've been doing it. But I wanted to tell you, I wouldn't choose to do that if I had not been trying to cram a first grader and a third grader in there together. But Logic of English sells a PDF format so that you can purchase that, and they give you permission to copy off all that you need for your entire family. So if I need to repeat pages, then I could print off more because they need a little more practice in one area. No problem. You have their permission to do that, so you're not doing anything against the law. With me having a big family, I really love that about this curriculum because so many curriculums do not want you to copy, and I understand that. But I really like that they are geared towards homeschoolers and helping us to make it work for our family because we're usually doing a lot of kids, and all of this stuff is reusable. They come in such nice format, nice books. And again, I probably shouldn't talk too much on that here because I want to do a video showing it up close for you so that you get a better feel of it. But um, I found that it was fun. It was logical. They we just have not struggled like we like we did with Abeka. It was easier learning all their sounds at once. They have their own flashcards done on a video, and so I can put that on YouTube in playlist and have them practice on there with that. Um, when they're learning the sounds, like yesterday, we went around the kitchen and were marching and doing the sounds. I felt really stupid doing that, but they thought it was fun. And what turned out to be them having a little bit of a bad attitude at the beginning, by the end, they were smiling and laughing. And today, my daughter, who a lot of times um, is really stubborn and I think just likes to irritate me and doesn't try to learn her sounds, came in here and told me all 6 sounds for the OUGH phonogram, which that was a lot to learn, and sometimes she gives me trouble on 2 sounds. So just doing those little things that they have in there, the suggestions, and you don't have to do everything, but it is laid out so well and gives you ideas for things to do to make it fun, and you don't have to do everything if you don't have time. But one of the things was marching around the room, and we did that. They remember it because they were moving while they were learning, and for an ADD child, they need to move to learn, and it seems absolutely crazy to my mind because I am not that way, and it's just like I want to make them sit down and just get to their work, but that's not the way they are. And so I'm finding ways with this curriculum to make it work for every learning style, because they're saying it, they're hearing it, they're writing it, they're moving with it. And so it really just seems like no matter what your learning style, this is an awesome curriculum. I can't wait to do the next one. I'm definitely ordering the next set to start on for next year. And I'm going to do this with all of my children. I'm just not even going to bother with Abeka anymore. Though, like I said, I think it can be a good curriculum. I like this so much better. They don't have dumb little readers that don't make a lot of sense. They have some readers in there. They're so much fun because they're not reading based on the picture that they see, because most of the readers that we have had so far don't have pictures in them. What it is, you read the sentence and then you get to go and pick the picture that went with that sentence. And so you cut out all these little pictures, and then you match it to what you just read. So it's kind of nice because it's not, a lot of times I found that my kids were guessing because they were looking at the picture and guessing what it said. And so this way actually helps that. And not only that, but they tell you as you go through, they'll say, use Bob books, whatever. And so you can go to your library. Probably most libraries have Bob books. I know mine does. And they'll tell you the Bob books that you can get that they will be able to read that and feel a sense of success because they're not going to be struggling over it because they have already learned all the sounds and they can read that book. And so I think that's another really neat thing because I didn't always like the Abeka readers for the younger ages. And I felt like some of the times the stuff was just really dumb or too hard, or there was sight words in there or sounds that we had not gone over yet. And maybe that it just wasn't done in the best order. I don't know how to get across what I'm trying to say, but I like the way they have taught this, the way they have done their readers. Um, I can't say enough good about it. I really love Logic of English, and so I hope you'll give them a try. If you have any questions and I haven't covered something that you want to know, please post it in the comments. I do try to keep up with my comments, and unless there's just like a ton all at once, I may get behind, but I try to keep up with my comments and answer each of you. So if there's something that you want to know about it, please ask me. It is well worth the investment. Like I said, especially if you're like me and have several kids to teach, it is definitely worth it because you're going to be able to keep using this for all of them, and it's made out of high quality materials that are going to last. So I hope that this helps you, and let me know if there's anything else that you want to see on my channel, any other questions you have. And thanks so much for watching. Bye.